Yay, we're live.
I thought the example, well, I guess I didn't hear all of yours, but is it supposed to be like a story type of thing with?
Yeah, so I did it in story format about actually it was about my brother and a alienation case that he went through and through the steps. I changed the names so that no one could be identified.
Okay.
But that's how I was able to give the detail because it was a real case. I named them Bob and Susan. We tried to retrieve mine. I handed in the quiz already, but even with Amanda's smart brain stuff, we weren't able to open it up, and so I could copy paste what I'd submitted already.
For the group thing, there's a template that you can download, open it up in Word, and it's got basically everything we need to do. We just type up our example, we have to explain it, and then we have to make like a quiz question and 3 answers and explain for each answer why they're wrong.
Sweet, where is it?
It should be under instructions for group meetings.
I just opened it.
Chapter 2. It's at the bottom.
So who wants to fill it out? Do you guys want me to do it? Do one of you guys want to do it? Because just one of us needs to submit it, right?
Right, just one of us needs to submit it for the group project.
If there's a spot.
I'm still not being intelligent enough to find it yet, so it would be better if someone else typed it at this point. I'm seeing example, brief, and case study. Do you guys pull it up through the checklist, or how do you find it?
It's under instructions for group meetings in chapter 2.
And then you scroll down and it's a link that says like group assignment template that you click on. Well, I can be the scribe unless if someone else wants to.
No, if you're game, that's cool with me.
Go for it.
And Matthew, what's your last name?
Whetten, W-H-E-T-T-E-N.
And Guy, your last name?
Patterson, P-A-T-T-E-R-S-O-N.
Have you watched That Thing You Do, Guy?
I have.
Okay. This is one of
I can tell you more about it when we're done. It's funny.
Amanda, what's your last name?
Johnson.
Okay. And then after we're done with the group meeting, I'll have to have you guys send me the link to this meeting so that I can include it in the template.
No big deal. I'd be happy to.
Okay.
Hey, I'm on a group meeting. I feel a little bit bad for kicking my roommate out of his room.
Gotta love roommates.
Okie dokie.
All right, so does someone want to share their example? Because we have to go around and share all of our examples before we choose one, right?
Sure, yeah. Do you want to start, Amanda?
Sure. All right, I'm just going to read it. Todd believes that Mark is withholding his share of the profits from their new business venture. He decides to file a complaint. The complaint goes to trial where a jury looks at the evidence and hears statements. The jury rules in favor for Mark. Todd decides to appeal the decision. The appeals court looks at the evidence presented in the trial and decides to rule with Todd. The end.
Very good.
Andrea, you want to go next?
Sure. Mine's a little long. So, Bill left the office a little later than usual and was surprisingly hungry. He remembered that his wife was making meatloaf tonight and felt very anxious to get home. As he was driving, he wasn't as alert as he should have been and didn't notice the stop sign as he was approaching the intersection. John was riding his bike home from a friend's house and was crossing the street when Bill came through the intersection and hit John on his bike. John was very lucky, but did break his arm in the accident. He complained with his attorney and wanted to sue Bill for his injury. Bill, the defendant, went to his attorney after being approached through John's attorney and was in the wrong because John wasn't wearing reflectors on his bike and it was dark outside. Both the plaintiff and defendant started working with their attorneys to get any witnesses and facts together. They presented their facts at the pretrial conference, but were unable to agree on a settlement. During the trial, the attorneys each presented the cases, and John had his dad as a witness, who testified that he had installed reflectors on his bike 2 weeks before the accident. John also had the driver of another car who was approaching the intersection when the accident took place to testify because he saw how Bill ran the stop sign. The petite jury came to the conclusion that Bill was indeed guilty. After the trial, the judge found out that there were irregularities and misconduct among the jury because 3 of them were related to John. Bill's attorney filed an appeal because of the potential misconduct of the jury. They met together in an appellate court where the attorneys presented their oral arguments of key points. The court came to the decision again that Bill is guilty for running the stop sign, which resulted in hitting John on his bike. He was charged for John's medical bills and the cost to replace his damaged bike. The end.
Job.
Cool. Mine's pretty short because I just came up with it. If we're gonna be honest. Manny went to court to complain originally because his house had been broken into by Marquez. Marquez had broken into his house and stolen several objects of worth, including, notably, several family heirlooms, jewelry, and $2,500 in cash. Evidence against Marquez brought him into trial, where he defended himself by stating that there were no fingerprints, and so it could have been someone else other than him. He was stating for circumstantial evidence, I guess. The jury declared that Marquez was guilty, but Marquez went back and filed in an appellate court to try and repeal that statement, stating that he still didn't do it. I don't know how bad that was, but I'm in a criminology class, and so that's on my mind.
That was good.
Again, I can tell you mine. I can't tell you word for word because I submitted in the quiz, but I can do it more in the story form. I was summarizing before, but so Bob and Susan went through a very difficult divorce. Shortly after the divorce, Bob began noticing the children were able to visit him less and less. And initially, Bob's family felt as if he were overreacting until Bob learned that his ex-wife was seeking to have her new children, or her new husband, adopt their children and to change their last names. Bill sought out and found a family attorney who had experience in alienation cases. Bill and his attorney filed a complaint with the clerk of the magistrate court. Bill's ex-wife, Susan, was served with papers and given 20 days to respond. Susan retained an attorney, and they denied all of the allegations. The case went to a initial hearing with the court, and Susan's attorney put in I can't remember the word I use now. Susan's attorney basically asked for the case to be thrown out based on no grounds. The judge felt that the case had merit, and so a mitigation hearing was scheduled. That's an important step. They go to mitigation next. In the mitigation hearing, it was clear that a resolution could not be met without the case going to trial. So a trial date was set. Through the course of the trial, the judge decided to side in favor of Bob, and full custody was given to Bob. And Susan was very dismayed to learn that her visits with the children would have to be supervised with a guardian ad litem. So she appealed the judge's decision to the district court. So I think the steps are just, that you file the claim, right?
Mm-hmm.
After you file the claim, the person's served, right? After the person's served, then you go to a initial trial, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
What about the pre-trial conference?
Pre-trial hearings, yeah. You have a pre-trial hearing. After you go to the pre-trial hearing, if the judge feels there's merit, then you go to a mitigation hearing. If the mitigation isn't successful, then you go to the actual court. You can choose whether it's a jury trial or if the judge decides it. And then from there, if obviously if the person doesn't like the outcome, they would appeal to the next higher court. I guess if it started in district court, you'd go to the appellate court. In Idaho, we have one of those. But typically, like if it's a magistrate court, then you'd go to the district court.
So how do we make a question for that?
We could do. I mean, what are the name 5? We could come ourselves. We could decide ourselves what steps they were, if there were 4, 5, 7, or whatever. And our question could be, name 7 steps in the court process from a claim to appeal.
Well, she wants a multiple choice one.
I think we have to use our example in it. She gave an example of one.
She gave like 3 examples of them.
Yeah, one of them that she talked to was I forgot what that's called. The confidential agreement.
Confidentiality.
Yeah, and so then an attorney was talking to like a coworker about confidential stuff, and so it gave
Right.
a scenario example, and then said like, was this wise and why? So then there's yes and no answers.
So whose example do you want to use? I guess we're getting a little bit ahead. What example do you want to use? That's number 3. Right? It's names of the people that attended, the link to the HOA recording. What example do you guys want to use? Do you want to use I can't remember what Andrea's, or do you want to use Amanda's?
Not mine.
I would have to retype mine, and so it would slow us down.
Andreas has the most detail, so we could probably play off some of the things that happened in the car accident and things for our question.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine. Mine, we'll have to, maybe I'll post it to the chat or something so you guys can see it.
That'd be good.
Because that way we might have to add more detail to it on like the exact court and, stuff like that. Any legal information if I'm missing any.
Did Guy go away, or did you shut off your mic?
I just shut off my camera.
Oh, okay. I was like, what happened?
I'm here, I promise.
Cool. You look very nice in a suit.
Oh, thanks. It was just a jacket. I hate suits and ties.
Okay, cool. I see it.
And if you want me to cut it down, let me know what you want me to cut out, and I can do that too. And I don't care. So I know it's long.
Here we go.
Cool. No, I don't think that you need to cut it down, but
So usually the attorneys don't go to each other. If they file a claim,
Okay.
then he would be served. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm just trying to find that.
So where it says that John was,
So he wasn't approached by the attorney, so take that out.
no, the
So
attorneys
after
don't.
after being served papers.
Right, you're served papers. So what would happen is John would file a claim. His attorney would file a claim with the clerk of the magistrate court, and then someone would serve. Anybody could really serve it, but someone would serve the defendant with the claim, with the summons for the lawsuit.
Okay, so I revised that to he decided to file a complaint through his attorney through the magistrate court. Is that what you said?
Well, he decided to file a claim with his attorney, and then what his attorney would do is his attorney would file the claim with the clerk of the magistrate court.
Okay.
And then it goes to pretrial.
Then he gets served. The defendant gets served, and then they both. It depends on how technical you guys want to be. Both attorneys will do discovery. They'll like get witnesses and take depositions and baloney like that. But yeah, then it goes to pretrial.
Okay. We could probably skip the discovery part because that's like a given. You have to do research.
So I have that sentence they presented their facts at the pretrial conference. So I need to revise that, include anything before it.
Let me see. So did you put what you rewrote, Andrea?
I rewrote that one sentence that said John's attorney filed a claim through the magistrate court and wanted to sue Bill for his injury. And then Bill, the defendant, went to his attorney after being served papers and doesn't believe that he was wrong because that. Should I take that all out? Why he doesn't think he's wrong and just leave it? About the reflectors, just take that all out, or?
No, you can leave it in. So you've got the discovery part there, where they both start to get their witnesses.
Yeah, I put that in there. Do I need to put in there that something about, like, have the actual word discovery in there?
Nah.
Or is it the implication enough?
No. Hopefully she doesn't expect that much of us. Geez, though, we're not attorneys. We just want to pass the class, man. That's my dad's a court reporter, and my older brother works for the AG's office. So I've been around this my whole life.
Yeah, I'm quite the opposite. So I'm learning.
So let's see, you've got the pretrial hearing going.
It's a pretrial conference. They try to agree on a settlement in there before it's taken to court, right?
Well, yeah, I guess you can do it that way. They can do a pretrial conference and decide whether or not they're going to go to court. They could decide to do a pretrial conference with a mediator. Right. We need to have that there is a mediator hearing somewhere in there, because before the judges will usually hear it, they want it to try and be solved in mediation because the courts are so busy.
So can I just say they presented their facts at the pretrial conference with a mediator?
Right.
Or is it
that would be no. Throw it in that they did a pretrial conference with a mediator.
Okay. But we're unable to agree on a settlement.
Oh, okay.
And I have during the trial, the attorneys each presented the cases, and I included John's dad as a witness to show that in the trial you have witnesses.
Yeah.
I can take that out or simplify it if.
Nah, leave it in. He seems like
We have to go through and simplify it afterwards anyway. So.
Oh, we do?
Yeah, because it has like it posts you at the Word document. You post your story and then you have to explain it.
Oh, okay.
But we can do it something as brief as John hit Bill, or Bill hit John, and they went to court.
Yeah, make it simple. Okay. Do I need to put anything else in there about the trial or any other details?
I would get. You can do it as a jury trial if you want. The weird thing is that in a jury you'd be vetted. You would. So when you're doing a jury trial, both attorneys get to go through and interview potential jurors, and so there's no way they would choose a juror that was a relative.
Okay.
It's just not going to happen.
That's during the pretrial conference. They agree on witnesses and all sorts of stuff.
Okay. See,
They're going to go through and
find a reason for it to be appealed, because I knew it had to go through the appeal process, and I didn't know what the reason would be.
no,
I can take that all out.
I would take out the part though about the relatives, because that would have been caught. Any attorney with assault would have caught that when they went through and did the jury selection.
Yeah, isn't the not wearing reflective gear enough to try and get a appeal?
Okay, so I took that all out. So now it says
Who did they side with again?
they sided with John.
That's the guy that got hit, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So here's the deal: you really don't need much to do an appeal. You could do an appeal just because you felt the verdict was unreasonable, or that the verdict was not supported sufficiently by the evidence. A really common one is that people try to say that the judge made an error of law. That's what my example from my relatives did.
Okay.
His ex-wife tried to say that the judge had made an error of law, and so they appealed to the district court, and the district court upheld the decision.
Okay, so I have it through. Should I say that he also had the other driver of a car that witnessed it testify, or take that out?
Would simply, you could just say that there were other, they had witnesses that saw the accident or whatever. Or you can just leave it as it is. It'll change the flow too bad if we mess with it too much.
Okay.
Probably just leave them in. We ought to change the reason for the appeal though.
Yeah. So I have a bill around the stop sign. Because it's our stop sign. So then the court sided with John. I just say, and Bill thought that verdict was
Unreasonable.
Unreasonable, yeah.
And wanted to file an appeal.
Yeah, and so they would file an appeal with the district court.
Would Bill's attorney do that?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then would they still meet in an appellate court? Or however you
Well, so that you're basically the judge reviews the case and decides whether or not it should be retried or not. And then if you don't like the decision, you can appeal again. The state of Idaho has an appellate court. So you'd go from the magistrate, you'd go from magistrate court to district court to the appellate court.
Okay.
And
So,
from the appellate court, you could go to the state Supreme Court, I guess. And if you didn't like that, then you could appeal to the.
it just keeps going.
Yeah, but we don't need to go into that much detail. We just need to go through a case from claim to a appeal.
So I could say, like Bill's attorney filed an appeal with the district court. They met together in the district court where the attorney presented their oral argument.
I just say that they file. When mine, I ended with the filing of the appeal.
Okay.
In my story, because if you look at her example story, she didn't go into, and
So
she's saying you can do 25 words. Mine was way longer than 25 words.
I'd say that yours is a little bit longer than 25 words.
Definitely.
I would just stop with.
So I don't have to say the final decision. So I just end it with Bill's attorney filed an appeal with the district court.
Yep.
Yeah, because we're just going from claim to appeal.
Okay, I'm gonna post it one more time so you guys can read over it and see if I made any errors in the editing.
Okay.
Did it work?
No.
kind of smushed it together, but you guys see?
Oh, I see.
Here it is.
Okay.
I can just.
There.
I'm just going to simplify the first sentence and say Bill left the office a little later than usual and felt anxious to get home.
Okay.
Correct.
Are you an English major?
No.
This is very descriptive.
Well, I didn't know with the story example. I didn't know how.
No, I'm not being mean. You did wonderful. You did wonderful. It's just very descriptive. I would specify maybe where it says that was unreasonable. I think maybe it might be better if we said that Bill, the court sided with John, and it says, and Bill, that was unreasonable. I would say that Bill felt the verdict was unreasonable.
Okay, and Bill felt the verdict was unreasonable. Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
You're so nice. Thank you.
Okay.
So now what's on that happy little list of... I found it, by the way.
Yay.
So
Yeah, I
now,
found it.
so now an explanation of our example. Just tell me what you want me to write.
So our example, the principle is...
It's just a breakdown of the steps, pretty much.
So our example includes how long does the explanation of the example have to be? You guys have access to what one of our examples says?
I'd summarize it.
Yeah, it's just a summary, pretty much.
A summary of the example?
Yeah. I would just say that explain the principle your example is teaching. I didn't get that from the instructions. I'll try to find an example.
When she says I would add the following explanation, she just wants the class to understand the topic. So like for our topic of what are the different, how do you take a complaint to an appeal? We just basically have to lay out like, right, John did this.
Our principle is how to, the process of suing someone from the complaint to an appeal.
Yeah, so we just have to outline, well, we can say that, and then you just outline like the steps that John did.
Okay, so John was hit while riding his bike. Do I even have to say that?
I wouldn't even say that. They've read that in the story.
John was injured, and
you could even go as simple as John filed a complaint. The complaint went. Bill got the summons. They took it to pretrial. It went on to trial. Bill tried to appeal the decision.
I'd keep it just into simple steps.
Okay.
This is basically the steps somebody would take if they were going to sue somebody.
Right, in the steps, do I have to say about the pretrial conference?
Well, they went to pretrial, like Matt was saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
So so our for explanation of our example are the steps from complaint to appeal, and then we can put the steps as step one that you file the complaint with the clerk of the court. Number two is that you go to pretrial. Number three is you go to trial. Number 4 is
You get a decision, and then number 5 is you make an appeal.
does that work? That works for me.
Yeah.
I think.
Amanda, you're being quiet.
She said.
Sorry. But I agree.
Okay. Right on. That's a good vote.
Okay, so this is what I have so far. Because you guys said it had to be a summary of the example too. So I just said this is the process of suing someone from the complaint to the appeal. John was injured and his attorney filed a complaint. Bill received the papers. They got their facts together and met in a pretrial conference. They went to trial and there was a decision. Bill appealed the verdict.
Yeah.
We left out the, one thing we spaced. Yeah. So the pre-trial, we ought to mention something about a mitigation effort was made, because she, even on one of her videos with her little kids, didn't she say something about mitigation?
A little bit.
Trying to resolve the mitigation.
Okay, so now I have they got their facts together and met in a pre-trial conference where a mitigation effort was made. Then they went to trial.
Perfect.
So that sounds fine.
Perfect.
Okay. Now the
Yep.
question.
Yeah.
For ours, we can't do like a simple
Yeah,
like
just-
what step is the appeal come after or something? Like, how do we
No,
make
we
a
can-
question?
What is the first step in a lawsuit? And we can
Yeah.
put A as filing a complaint, B is filing an appeal, C is going to a pre-trial hearing, pre-trial conference. Just make it a multiple choice question.
Well, right. We want multiple choice. It's just, I don't know. On her example, she's got like 4 questions listed, each one progressively better. So for the last one, she's like, she wants it to focus on the topics to help people really understand what attorney-client privilege is, right?
I
So,
feel like ours is hard though because there's so many steps. Like it's not just attorney-client privilege like hers,
right.
So I don't know how to include all of it.
Like we can pick it apart and be like, why would a mitigator be present or something like that, but nothing really gives a good overview of the process.
If you're going to do multiple choice lends itself to simplicity. I don't know how to get complex with multiple choice. Unless you want to put the steps backwards in one of them. If you want to do A with 5 steps going the right direction, B with 5 steps mixed up, jumbled.
Could do something like, why would Bill want this trial to be appealed, or something that explains like the process.
That's subjective, though.
That's true.
That's subjective to the case.
That's true.
Is it supposed to, like, is the quiz going to include a summary of the example, or, like, do we use our example to make the quiz question, or do we just make a quiz question without any example, just on our topic?
It's with the supposition that some of the example will at least be in there, because her question was it a good idea for Bill to share this information with Nancy? Which has no context whatsoever if you didn't read it.
Okay, so it will include.
So if it includes the story, then you could use your question. Why did Bill file for an appeal?
Mm-hmm.
It's not multiple choice, though. I mean, we could write it as multiple choice. We can say, B can be the right answer, that he felt that there was. What was our answer? What did we decide? That it was
Unreasonable.
unreasonable. The decision was unreasonable.
Yeah.
That can be B, and we can put A, that Bill got a parking ticket. I don't know.
A, that John wasn't wearing reflectors, or C, that the jury was biased?
Well, we took out the jury, though.
Right, exactly. That's why it's not the right
good
answer.
point. Yeah, good point. Do that. I'm down. That's got my vote.
Okay.
So
So the quiz question,
ABC.
why did Bill file an appeal?
Yeah.
And then fought for the correct answer. And Bill felt the verdict was unreasonable.
Mhm.
Right.
And then it says correct answer feedback.
So you just write down that Bill could appeal because it was unreasonable. That it was unreasonable because I don't know.
Bill felt that based on the evidence that the
Verdict wasn't feasible.
judge's verdict was unreasonable.
Yeah. And then all the others we can explain that like he didn't appeal just because John wasn't wearing reflectors, and he didn't appeal because the jury was messed up. So.
Well, he didn't appeal. There was no jury.
Right.
He didn't appeal because of the jury because the judge. There was no jury.
All right. So then one of the wrong answers. What do you want wrong answer 1 to be?
Wrong answer number 1.
Yeah.
Do it as Bill wasn't wearing reflectors. Or John wasn't. I think the name's mixed up.
And then we have to put wrong answer feedback for that one too.
Right. Just say that his complaint wasn't that John wasn't wearing reflectors. He felt that the verdict was unreasonable. I don't know. It's kind of self-explanatory.
All right, then what about wrong answer number 2?
Do the
jury was biased.
Jury was biased.
And the reason it's wrong is because there was no jury. There wasn't a jury trial. The judge heard the case. Because we deleted the stuff about the jury, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I did.
Pardon me. Amanda, what do you think the wrong question should be?
Wrong answer. He appealed because he wanted to spend more money.
Good one. That's awesome. That works for me. If Andrea and Matt are okay.
I'm in no place to complain.
How long does it take you to clean, Matt?
It's not awful. Most days I can do it in under 3 hours, but we are kind of forced to spend the 3 hours. So, you find stuff to do.
Oh, in the evenings you clean on campus?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
So it's not bad. I did it last semester too, and it wasn't a bad job. I mean, I'm only there 9 to midnight, so it's like I wasn't going to do anything with that anyway.
Yeah.
Doing setups is fun.
When I was dating my husband, he was a security guard on campus, so I saw people cleaning, and I went with him.
I used to do security for a mall, but that was not fun.
Yeah.
Our campus security has no sense of humor.
Yeah.
They're all budding Hawaii 5-0 team members, I guess.
Only if they play the theme song when they go out and do stuff.
How long have you been married, Andrea?
4.5 years.
Wow, you're good at it, man. That's a long time.
Yeah, we just had our first little girl in September. First kid.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
What's her name?
Adeline.
Adeline. That's beautiful. Good for you guys.
Oh, she's a lot of fun.
I've been married for 24 years. March.
Now you're good at it.
I'm an old man.
Cool.
I'd love to be your guys' dad, probably. You guys got stuck with a dinosaur on your team.
I don't mind. You contributed probably a lot of the good feedback. You know your
True.
stuff.
I'm sorry, but I sincerely turned in that quiz. I apologize for not keeping the other copy. I won't do that again.
No, that's okay.
I apologize for not doing the assignment first.
If we work on stuff ahead of time enough and we have time, in all sincerity, I can call my dad or my brother and bounce stuff off of them and see what they say for feedback.
Okay.
If they think our story is messed up or something, if we do it, ahead of time.
Mm.
Yeah.
My dad would love it. He's been retired and he hates it. He misses being in court.
Sorry, this is an oddball question, but Guy, are all those blue shelves on your book the Hardy Boys books?
Yeah, I love the Hardy Boys. I bought them for my kids for every Christmas. I buy. I used to spend $200 on books for my kids when they were young, and they could go and pick the books. And luckily, I like the Hardy Boys, and so we bought those. They got into a few of the Nancy Drews, you can see.
Mm-hmm.
And none of even my daughters, they just didn't like Nancy Drew.
I used to read the Hardy Boys all the time, but I used to, like, my job for the last, 8 months has been working in a bookstore. And so I, can recognize books by spine now. I'm like, wait, I know who wrote that.
Yeah, those are all the Hardy Boys. I have one that the teacher gave me that's like a 1938. It's kind of cool.
Nice.
My daughter's an English major, and she's really into literature, and so she has, these are like some of the family books, but she has all kinds of Beowulf and stuff that's beyond my mental capacity.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. I have too many books and not enough bookshelves.
Oh, yeah.
So are we, Cal, do you guys want me to stop the recording, I guess? Are we done with that paper, that template?
Yeah.
We completed the template.
Cool. So would you post that after Guy gives you the link to the live thing?
Yeah.
Well, what I'm going to do, I'll stop recording real quick, and then we can stay on for a second.